Alright, hello. This shouldn't take too long. Exodus 31. It's a pretty short chapter. I do have, as always, my 4 different translations Bible in front of me, given to me by my loving grandmother. And I'm going to use the Enduring Word Bible Commentary. So, this is about the Sabbath, keeping it holy. Have we done a good job of it? Probably not. But we'll get into that. It also really deals with, this is shaky, there we go. The fact that we're each unique, and God has given us specific skills. And if we choose to use those to serve God, then our true light can be shown. It's when we use those skills for our own self-service. And I think that ties into the Sabbath, and we'll get into that. But I think there's a reason these two are put right with one another. You know, there's a reason to the rhyme, a rhyme to the reason in the Bible. I'm not speaking very loudly because my fiance is taking a nap in the other room. Verse 1, chapter 31, New International Version. Then the Lord said to Moses, "See, I have chosen Bezalel, son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, and I have filled him with the Spirit of God, with wisdom, with understanding, with knowledge, and with all kinds of skills, to make artistic designs for work in gold, silver, and bronze, to cut and set stones, to work in wood, and to engage in all kinds of crafts." Basically, he's a Da Vinci of the early Israelites. I mean, is that not what a Da Vinci? He's like skilled in wisdom and skills, artistic, woodcraft, carving, sculpture, metallurgy. He's just a Da Vinci of his time. Verse 6. Moreover, I have appointed Aholiab, son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, those Dans, to help him. Also, I have given ability to all the skilled workers. Notice that. I, the Lord, have given ability to the skilled workers to make everything I have commanded you. So everything he's told them to do so far, he's saying, you guys have the ability. I've given you the skill. Remember when he told Moses was like, I can't go before Pharaoh. I don't know how to speak. He's like, who put the tongue in your mouth? And this is like that. We have these skills, but they're God-given. It's when we start taking self-pride into our skills, and it can be anything. It doesn't even have to be craftsman. Your skill could be trading on the stock market. As soon as, and if you know stock market people, you kind of have to have an arrogant mentality about it. But as soon as you start thinking it's all about you, first off, you'll never be satisfied, and you'll always keep chasing the dragon, But you also eventually will fall. You have to know that the skill is for the Lord, and what you do is for the Lord. He's given you these skills. Now use them for His betterment, for His commands. Use the skills God gives you to serve God. Everything I have commanded you: the tent of meeting, the ark of the covenant law with the atonement cover on it, and all the other furnishings of the tent, the table and its articles, the pure gold lampstand and all its accessories, the altar of incense, the altar of burnt offering, and all its utensils, the basin with its stand, and also the woven garments, both the sacred garments for Aaron, the priest, and the garments for his sons when they serve as priests, and the anointing oil and fragrant incense for the holy place. They are to make them just as I commanded you. All right, that's a lot of work. Think about all the stuff, specific, detailed, hard. It's not factory line, pump it out. It's detailed, skilled labor. And God says, I've given you the skills to do it. Now do it. It's hard work. Your skills, not for your own gain, but for the betterment of God, to serve God, using your skills to serve God. Remember that. Because now we're getting into the Sabbath. Well, before we move on, let's turn to the Enduring Word Bible here. It's going to be a lot of the same. Probably have said better than me. See, I have called by name Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur. Even as God specifically chose Moses and Aaron, He also specifically chose these craftsmen for His service. And He specifically chooses each one of us. He gave each one of us our specific skills. We can choose to wish and that we had somebody else's skills and think that they have it better and we could, if only I could do that, or if only I could do this, or we can focus on our skills and use them for the betterment of God. Again, you're not gonna like your skills if you're only serving yourself. It's not about self-service. It's not about wanting somebody else's skills. It's about knowing the skills you have and using them for God's purposes. I have filled him with the Spirit of God, in wisdom, in understanding, in knowledge, and in manner of workmanship. Yeah. He's a Da Vinci. That's all there is to it. According to all that I have commanded you, they shall do. This reminds us that God wanted the tabernacle and its furnishings built according to specific pattern. It was a deliberate model of a heavenly reality. See, I know I didn't get much into that. That's just not my area. I am aware of it, that like the way the ark is designed with the cherubims and the way that the veil is there and everything about it represents what we know of or can know of God's heavenly throne room. It really does. The ark is like a representation of God's heavenly throne room, because that's where God resides in the ark, and it's supposed to represent his throne room that was shown to us through, like, I don't know for sure, we'll get into it, Ezekiel maybe, so a whole bunch of writings, Revelations, all this stuff. But that stuff to me, it's cool, but it doesn't necessarily give you the message that I'm looking for. The message. What does this do? How does this apply to my daily life? How does this apply to me serving the Lord? All right, using your skills that are God-given to serve the Lord. Getting to the next part of the chapter, verse 12, the Sabbath. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Say to the Israelites, you must observe my Sabbaths. This will be a sign between me and you for the generations to come, so you may know that I am the Lord, who makes you holy. Observe the Sabbath, because it is holy to you. Anyone who desecrates it is to be put to death." Has it been desecrated? "Those who do any work on that day must be cut off from their people." This is where it gets a little confusing to me. So anyone who does work on the day is cut off from their people. Very next verse. "For 6 days work is to be done, but the seventh day is a day of Sabbath rest, holy to the Lord. Whoever does any work on the Sabbath day is to be put to death." So first it says cut off from the people, now it says put to death. The Israelites are to observe the Sabbath, celebrating it for the generations to come as a lasting covenant. "It will be a sign between me and the Israelites forever. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, and on the seventh day he rested, and it was refreshed." When the Lord finished speaking to Moses on Mount Sinai, he gave him the 2 tablets of the covenant law, the tablets of stone inscribed by the finger of God. All right. Before I go to the Enduring Word Bible commentary, let's just look at this. First half of the chapter, hard work, skilled labor, the skills that God's given you, using them in detailed, hard labor work to serve the Lord. But the seventh day is a day of rest. It's not continuous labor. You get your day of rest. And then it's reflecting what God did for us. 6 days of laboring to create all of this for us. And on the seventh day, he rested. He's serving us just as we should serve him. And the seventh day is a day of communion with the Lord, of rest, to come together to remember what it's all about. We're doing this for the Lord. He's doing it for us. A king and his subjects. The king needs to take care of his subjects. The subjects need to serve the king. And that's what God's doing. He's working for us. We need to work for him. And the seventh day is a reminder to us that it's not just about the work. It's about something more. It's the day of remembrance, of peace. Now, we'll turn to the Enduring Word Bible here. But as far as keeping the Sabbath holy, first off, Sunday's in the Sabbath, so we're not keeping Saturday holy. All these things. I always kind of looked at it as, are you doing things for you? Like work. What if you go outside and garden? Is that working? If you mow your lawn. I mean, ancient times, I'm sure it was. When I think about it, it's typically, are you working for you? Are you doing something to make money for you? I don't care if it's to make money for a good reason, to pay for food or for clothes for your kids or to pay for, debt that you're paying off, but that's still, it's money for you. Are you working to get paid? Or are you helping your family move? Which ones work? The main thing is that you're supposed to, just like we talked about earlier with prayer, it's not just sitting down and praying, it's coming to communion with God, sitting down in the peacefulness and listening. This is the same thing. You need this day of rest. It's not just about still going, go, 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 hard work, go, 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 because then you forget what you're doing and what's it all about. You can't forget that. It's so important. God knows it, and He's trying to remind you of it as well. That's Enduring Word Bible. Surely my Sabbath you shall keep. This command was strategically placed. Isn't everything in the Bible strategically placed? At the very end, of all the commands to build the tabernacle. Though God gave Israel a work to do in building the tabernacle, He did not want them to do that work on the Sabbath. The rest of God still had to be respected. It's a sign between children. Alright, let's read this. Though in the new covenant we are not bound by the Sabbath, Romans 14:5, Colossians 2:16-17, the principle is still important. Our rest in the finished work of Jesus is never to be eclipsed by our work for God. When workers for God are burnt out, they have almost always allowed their work for God to be bigger in their minds than His work for them. Again, that's what I just said. Man, why do I even read this? I already know it. The difference between what Jesus has done for us and what we do for Him is like the difference between the sun and the moon. The sun is almost unbelievably larger than the moon, yet if the moon is in the exact right or wrong place, it is possible for the moon to eclipse the sun. Some Christians live in a constant state of total eclipse, allowing what they do for Jesus to seem more important than what Jesus did for them. Yes, and that's what the Sabbath is all about. Take time, you slow down, you think, you rest, you come to communion with God. You realize that He's working for you harder than you're working for Him. As hard as you're working, He's working for you harder. And you feel this grace, you feel this honor, you feel this love for this God why is He working so hard for lowly old me? I should work even harder for Him. You'll never catch Him, and that shouldn't be your goal, obviously. But you realize that it's symbiotic, but it's not symbiotic because God doesn't need us. Anyway, the love is reciprocal. That's the way it's supposed to be. So again, this is a short one. I think the main part to get out of this is to remember, just like when we talked about earlier with the incense and the altar of prayer and all this stuff, the anointing oils, and what prayer represents in the coming to God in peacefulness, not with guilt in your heart anymore, because you've already done the atonement offering, the sin offering. So now when you come to prayer with the Lord, it's guilt-free. This is in the rest of the Sabbath. You're supposed to have your guilt gone. You're supposed to be ready for a day of rest and remembrance and reverence of the Lord. Thinking about the hard work you did that week. Thinking about the hard work that Christ or God has done for you. And that's what the Sabbath is all about. Try not to work for your own self-gain. Take that day, take a day off if you can, and really focus on, I make fun of Buddhism a lot because it's all about focus on yourself, focus on yourself. Don't focus on yourself. Focus on the Lord and what He's doing for you, and be grateful for it, and it will come back to you. All right, short one. Hope everyone enjoyed. Have a wonderful afternoon, evening, or good night.